This may look like an ordinary video game user, but actually he is using the latest in human-computer interface technology. What we are watching is a video game controller that is completely hands-off. This game is being played with eye movements only. The attack ship in the game is moving in response to the player's eye movements, so wherever he looks, the ship immediately moves to that position on the screen. In addition, a slight muscle twitch, for instance from the jaw, is programmed to fire the ship's rockets. Thus the player has complete control of the game action simply by making subtle eye and facial movements. Now, when Ben turns toward us, we can watch the effect of his eye movements. Left, right, up, and down eye movements move the object in a corresponding way on the video screen. Physiological signals are picked up by sensors in the headband, and eye position information is sent to the computer in the form of commands to move the game object in a desired direction. Just as a video game can be played with eye movements, the EyeController can be used as a computer mouse, and therefore enables utilization of menu-driven software to do word processing or graphic design simply using eye movements. Users have commented that this is a much more natural and intuitive way to move virtual objects around on a video screen as compared with pushing a mouse around on a desktop. The EyeController eliminates the need for a surface for the mouse to operate, and also eliminates muscle and back problems often caused by uncomfortable mouse positions on the desktop. To highlight the applications for the EyeController, or EyeCon as we call it, in addition to video games and word processing, we have already begun exploring avenues for bringing the EyeCon to physically disabled users. Since eye movements only are required, people with movement impairments or even complete paralysis can use computers or play video games with the ease of normal users. Indeed, in the virtual world of electronic objects, all users become equal using this type of physiological controller. And speaking of virtual worlds, the virtual reality community is very excited about the possibility of using the EyeCon as a new way to interact in the virtual environment. In trials with Sense8 Corporation in Sausalito, users were able to fly through virtual terrain simply by looking in the direction they wish to go, truly a dreamscape experience. The EyeController will also be useful in any environment where an operator cannot manually interact with the computer keyboard. On a factory floor, for instance, the EyeCon will allow the operator to move freely about the plant, controlling functions from a menu on a large screen display at some distant point on the production floor. The origin of the EyeController derives from the BioMuse, which is our general-purpose biosignal processing platform. The BioMuse is a true nervous system-to-computer interface, allowing the user to create direct volitional communication between the brain and a computer. In this demonstration, muscle signals, eye movements, and brain waves were all put on show at the CyberArts conference held in Los Angeles in 1990.
The last little part of me is my brain, and we'll show you that. And basically, once again, there's a good. I'm on. Okay. There's good news and bad news about the BioMuse. The good news is that it will do everything you want it to do. The bad news is it will do everything you want it to do, even when you're not paying attention to it. So you have to pay attention to what you're doing. So I'm going to have to be quiet for a second here and think about things, because as Hugh said, what I have to do to switch the sounds is I'm going to have to focus and defocus. And with bright lights in my eyes, it's going to take a little bit of concentration. But you may wonder what's the purpose of this kind of controller. And once again, it's if you're playing a piece and the mood in the piece changes or something, and you actually change mood, then you can actually change the sound that you're hearing, or the sequence of notes that you're hearing. So let's try it. What you're seeing is, as I'm going to close my eyes to defocus, because it's just a lot easier with the bright lights in my eyes. So what you'll hear is when I close my eyes, you'll hear the staccato sound, and when you open my eyes, you'll hear the gong. So there's the gong sound. plays the gong sound right before I open my eyes, and that's because right before you open your eyes, you start thinking about visual thoughts, and so it always is. You'll see my eyes open in about a second after you start hearing the gong, so it's kind of strange. So that's basically the EEG controller as well.
With the BioMuse, musical expression will take on a whole new meaning. Professional musicians are very excited about creating entirely new forms of sound for live performance. As a general-purpose biocontroller, BioMuse can use virtually any bioelectric signal and map it to desired outputs. In the current configuration, BioMuse processes muscle signals, brain electrical activity, and eye movement signals and maps all of these inputs to music interface commands. However, since the BioMuse is a processor-based system, it can be programmed to output other interface codes, for instance video or robotics, to suit other applications. Thus, in addition to functioning as a music controller for professionals and amateurs, the system can also be programmed to produce sound from dance and other expressive movement. As mentioned earlier, since the BioMuse uses the bioelectric signals which underlie movement, physical motion is not required. This makes it an ideal controller for persons with various physical disabilities, who can now use this technology not only for making music, but as a general-purpose controller which can run many devices from personal computers to wheelchairs. Another group of applications under development is for robotics control, where, for instance, the BioMuse is used to map arm and hand muscle activity to movements of a robotic manipulator for precision construction and repair work. Athletic development applications have also been proposed. Here, the BioMuse can be used to monitor a particular movement in order to give performance evaluation in real time. Trials have already been conducted with golf swing analysis, where the ideal swing is programmed to make a certain set of sounds, and the student learns to emulate the ideal swing by listening to his or her own swing in real time. Similar BioMuse programs can also be used to monitor the progress of athletic injury recovery. In quite a different arena, BioMuse can be used to do real-time monitoring of any person whose performance directly affects the safety of other people, such as bus driver or airline pilot. Such factors as state of attention and stress can be monitored in order to evaluate how well key personnel are performing their jobs. Perhaps the most intriguing possibilities for BioMuse technology have been proposed for virtual reality applications. In the ultimate scenario, various types of nervous system activity interact directly with the computers that generate the virtual world imagery. Thoughts, moods, and emotions would instantly be reflected in the objects and action of the virtual landscape. The possibilities for education and entertainment are truly unlimited.
In the 17th century, Sir Thomas Browne wrote, "There is music wherever there is harmony, order, or proportion." While great minds have created some of the more enduring musical triumphs in the past, the future may rest with a more physical approach. Already poetry in motion to some, add some technology, and listening to your own body may literally end up as sweet music heading for the pop charts for all to hear. I'm connected to electrodes that pick up the signals from the nerves that are controlling my muscle groups. It's rigged so that this left hand will create a note on the synthesizer. Works like this. I don't actually have to move, just contract the muscle and it plays a note. Now, I can also control the volume. The bigger the contraction, the louder the volume. On the right-hand side, these electrodes are set to control the pitch. So if I contract there first and then make the note, it's a higher pitch. Called BioMuse, it's a musical performance generated by human bioelectric signals. Human movement music. Based in this leafy San Francisco suburb, Dikaku is an all-girl group that the local press have dubbed the darlings of the virtual reality set, or 4 girls and a soldering iron, due to their heavy reliance on the latest in electronics. Dikaku are the musical innovators to take BioMuse onto the stage and out of the Stanford laboratory, where its creators, Dr. Hugh Lusted and Ben Knapp, first gave it life.
Well, it's the ultimate expression of music. I mean, you don't have to go through a keyboard. You don't have to go through another instrument. You are the instrument itself.
In that regard, it really is a true interface between the nervous system and a computer.
As well as making music in real time out of nerve impulses to the muscles, another set of electrodes will do the same for my brain waves. Also, 2 more electrodes monitor the eye muscle movements. So with just a turn of the eye, you can pan the stereo sound from one speaker to the other. Where will it all end? The body electric becoming violin or guitar?
Two Bay Area musicians are joining doctors at Loma Linda University Hospital for an experiment, one that's giving new life to a little girl. Richard Hart has the next step in high-tech therapy called BioMuse.
6 months ago, Crystal Earwood was a happy child developing normally. Then, an auto accident left her almost completely paralyzed. Today, at 18 months, Crystal requires a respirator to breathe. Because she can't put things into her mouth and otherwise explore the world the way other children do, she risks underdevelopment of her brain. That was a worry to neurologist David Warner at Southern California's Loma Linda Medical Center, a place noted for experimenting with new technologies for the disabled. This time, when medicine failed, they turned to music. To the work of 2 amateur musicians, Ben Knapp of San Jose State University and Hugh Lusted of Stanford. The 2 of them had been working on a special device to make sounds called the BioMuse. Dr. Warner invited them to test it for something else on Crystal, and the results startled everyone. In less than a minute, the little girl caught on.
Good.
Whatever she saw, she could move. She could control just by moving her eyes.
Hi. Look, there it is. Bring it over. Oh, there it is. Okay, see if you can make it wiggle.
Specialists in computer music, Lusted and Knapp had designed the BioMuse purely as art. Using electrical impulses generated by muscles, even eye muscles, it was intended to control instruments. Now this little girl was using it to control a computer.
Make it go over here. Yep. Make it go over here. Make it come down here.
The next step is to devise a daily exercise with the BioMuse to ensure Crystal's normal development.
We're winning. I mean, this is great. This is really great. First time, first patient, it works. You saw the response. She's able to use it.
Better than I expected.
Really?
Yeah. I expected her to, well, be her normal self and not do it when you wanted to.
She did so well, doctors decided to call in other patients for an encore of sorts. As everyone watched, even though they couldn't manipulate a keyboard with their fingers, the device let them play with their minds. For the experimenters, the collaboration debuted to rave reviews. For solo performers, there was a standing ovation. At Loma Linda University Medical Center, Richard Hart, News Center 4.
Boy, that's an incredible beginning, isn't it?
That's amazing.